and we go across the hall, knock on Colonel Parker, who tells this story far better than me. So if you ever get a chance to ask him, he can back this up exactly, but he tells it better than me because he's a better storyteller than me, because he's just fantastic at telling tales, right? And not tales when in lies. I mean, just telling stories. He's fantastic at telling stories. They say, Colonel Parker opens the door and he says, come in, just come in here for a second. Sid's in the bathroom. So as you walk in the door, the bathroom door is on the left-hand side.
All right.
You walk in, and then there's two double beds next to each other. And it's not a big room.
Right.
You know, there's just like a wooden, like, set of drawers and stuff there, and you know, typical hotel room.
Right. 2 beds and a window.
2 beds and a window.
Right.
But obviously the bathroom's enclosed. But you walk in, there's a little bit of a hallway, but that's where the door for the bathroom is. So I'm now stood with the door behind me, the front door and the bathroom door, and Colonel Parker's just talking and Bill's talking and I'm stood there talking. I hear the bathroom door open and Sid walks out. Now, I've got no reason to think that there's anything going to happen. The next thing, I have no idea what possessed him to do this. Sid has grabbed me round the throat from behind.
Huh.
And he's gone, I've got him now. Well, that didn't last long. Because he's got his big daft head there with all that curly hair. So I've just grabbed his head, his hair, I've dragged him over the top of me, and I've stuck him in a grommet on the floor. And I'm like, got him in, and I'm in this split second that this is happening, he's going, Colonel Parker and Dundee are just horse laughing, just belly laughing, because it's happened too quick, right? And I've just, because he made them, don't, you know, first of all, it was, he's got me down the throat. Secondly, too late.
Right.
Hand on the air, and he's got all that curly hair, right? Hand on the air, just dragged him right over the top. He's gone bang on the floor, and then I've just gravity.
Wow.
Right? So I've got him, and I'm just going, what on earth? And I'm talking to him like that. What on earth are you thinking? Like, just like, and he's going, like, and I said, don't be silly. Well, I've loosed him. Well, he's got to do, what he should have done was just sit on the bed and take it.
But he did it, did he?
And don't forget, we got no room here, right?
Right.
So where I'm stuck, is behind me is the actual corner of the bathroom and the hallway.
Okay.
And there's a bed right in front of me on the left-hand side, the first double bed. He's like gone down towards the window. He's like on the floor going, and he just bows up. Now he's a big fella, right? A lot bigger than big man. You couldn't write this, and I'm not making it up. It sounds like it's like something off a film. He just leaped at me, and I just went, move to the side, and he hit the wall. It just went, it was like Wile E. Coyote. He just went, smashed on the wall, and then went, staggered back like Frankenstein and fell on top of the bed. So now I've jumped on top of the bed, because now I'm like, I've gone now.
Right.
I'm proper gone now, like his fella's trying to attack me. I've got on him and I've hooked him, and I've got his, you know, my hand underneath the back of his head, and I've hooked into his armpit, and I'm dragging his head forward. I've got my hand ready to break his nose, and I'm ready to bite his ear off. Right? Because, again,
poor Sid.
Anybody who there's certain people, and I know because there's some stupid people in England who knew me when I was a teenager, who sort of go, whatever I've done in my career, that they seem to still, and I don't know, because I hear these things, right? Oh, what was he? It was just because they knew me when I was a teenage kid. And I was just at one point a scared little kid. Well, I wasn't. In fact, the one fella who goes around saying this, not goes around saying it, but says he gets information from this other fella who actually did used to put me through it. Seems to forget that this fella who did put me through it, me and him became friends later, and he used to run a lot of security. And if there was any extra, like special security for anything, the first person he used to call was me. Because by the time I'm 19 and especially 20, I'm an handful. None of my friends in Blackpool would know that because I'm the quietest person in the room. I don't need to go around doing all that. But I'm training with all these, I'm around Dave and I'm around all these fellas. And I'm doing 1,000 squats a day and training. And I've worked in clubs. I've seen a lot of things that people shouldn't see. And I'm not a 16-year-old anymore. Right?
It's like that scene in Goodfellas where you don't shine. You're not shining shoes anymore.
Right?
Like you
exactly.
don't shine box
anymore.
I'm not. Right?
Yeah. And then, unfortunately, there's I still hear it. There's these. Well, what's he ever done? Well, you just look at the company I keep.
Right.
Right. The company and my friends in Blackpool who know me. I'm not interested. They sometimes used to have to get into fights with people. Unless I'm drawn into it, I don't need to. I work security with them, but I'm not. Why? Because I'm in the wrestling and I don't want to get locked up. Not that I've ever walked away from anything. That's it. I've luckily never been in a situation where I've had to have any problem with any of them back there because of whatever. Maybe it's the people I'm with. I don't know what because my friends are my friends. But they know me as just quiet thing. In the wrestling, I had to be a bit more than that to survive in this. Especially when you start going overseas and that whatever. Well, I was big, I was strong, I was fit. And I knew how to do, by training with the right people, I knew how to, if anybody give me their head or their arm or the leg, I can do something with it. And I'm not frightened of getting hurt. Because these people who spread these things about me occasionally, I hear these or have done for years, they're the ones who actually did me a favor and made me become what I became. Right. But I've never had, it's just, I keep out. I don't,
right.
I've stopped my reputation. I don't have one. I'm telling you, it's all myth. But there's people think, oh, he does this or he does that. No, I didn't. I won't stand for anybody taking a liberty with me. And it's just always played out. So.
And Sid had made a mistake at this point because you were pissed off at this point. You were ready to fight.
And I've got him. And so I've got him up and I've got him up. He's on the bed going, he's already smashed his head on the wall. I've already gravitated him, right? So his neck's all creamed. He's just bounced off the wall. He's on the bed. I've got him up. Imagine what's going through his head. There's humiliation. But now he's proper done in. And I'm got him and I'm gone. And I'm ready to break his nose and I'm ready to bite his ear. And I don't want that to sound cool because it's not. But that's right. It's not. It's finish this fella off quickly. And I'm not. This is going to sound bad because people who know me being very quiet. But this is if you see Sid's a big man, and I'm not going to mess about trying to have a let him get it. Now I've got my chance. Right. I'm not going to give him any leeway. Sure. I'm going to hurt him quickly because that's another thing that I was taught to do by a lot of good people, right? And it's like, don't be messing about doing all this. Put your jukes up stuff. Just grab hold of it. Get to it, right? And I hope nobody takes this out of context because I have no interest or anything in fighting. There's no interest. Never have had. Nenever tried to.
This was not a fight you chose.
No, this is not something that and it wasn't a fight. It was just somebody him thinking it. I don't know what. I don't know. I've never asked him because it was Sid.
Right.
And again, don't forget, 2 weeks later, he does that thing with On, and I don't see him I don't see him again till in the WWE a few years ago. I never saw Sid ever again. Right. Oh, I did actually. I saw him in 2000 in Memphis when I was there for a while, and he used to come in the same gym with me. And I, again, it was all forgotten about within. Right. But this is this particular night. So this afternoon, I've got Sid. I've got him hooked up. I'm ready to do him if I have to. But I've just whispered in his ear, "Don't be silly." And I felt all that, he knew he was not in a good place. But it's not helping with Colonel Parker, especially because he's got the world's greatest belly laugh, laughing his head off. Right. And Dundee's laughing his head off. And they're just on him. We get to the building so I loose him and it's all over. Right. And I said, "Sid, shake hand. That's it. It's all over. But I'm just warned, don't ever do that to me again." I said it very politely. Right. More of it, I'm going to be honest with you, more of it's just bluffing him out. Right. Because I don't know. He could have, if he'd have hit me, he's a big fella. I don't know if, we've there's a lot of stories going around, but if somebody as big as Sid punt.
Yeah, it just takes one lucky shot.
Right on the chin.
Right. It's over.
A chance he'd cripple. I'd be over. He'd knock me down. You know what I mean? He's a big man, and he's a big fella who trains all the time. He just doesn't know what he's doing. So we get to the building that night, right? And all of a sudden, Sid said, "Can we have a talk?" And he walks to the showers. Now, I've been around wrestling enough. Usually, if you say, "Let's go and walk in the showers," you go walk in the showers.
You're not going to talk.
It's not for talk. It's for a straightener. Right. It's to have a fight. I walk in, I go, right, and I mean, just bump. And I go from normal mode to bump mode. In a second.
Right.
I'm not going to back down to him. And I already know that's another thing. Little things that may sound good, but once I knew what I've just done to him, I knew the strength of him, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I've just had hold of him and I've just played around with him and he hasn't got up and punched me in the mouth. He hasn't done anything. So I know it's not his thing. Does that make sense?
Sure.
I've had a couple of hours.
I saw his heart.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. We go in the shower and he basically just goes, "Oh, can you teach me some of that stuff?" And I just went, I went all stern and I said, "No." I said, "Because you'll take liberties with people." I had to have the same conversation with another big man who supposedly was a big tough guy once, who I ended up having to show some stuff because Harley Race asked me to. And I didn't really like this fella too much because I thought he was a bully. And Harley Race asked me, and because it was Harley, I'm going to be vague about this, but this fella, I had to show him. Harley asked me to show him stuff, and I said, "No, this is another big man that was around at that time." And I went and showed him because he was going to have a fight in Japan, and he was scared of it. And I had, let's just say
that's a short list, though, Mr. Regal.
Right.
Go ahead.
Harley Race asked me, and I said, "No, Harley, he's a bully, and he'll take liberties with people." And he said, "Please, could you do it for me?" And I thought the world of Harley, and so I had to do that. So I knew the strength of him as well, and I knew he'd got by on being just taking liberties with people.
Right.
These are things that are just things that happened in the first few years, right? So anyway,
well, we're going to get
for another time. Can we just finish this bit with Sid? Sure. So I've said to Sid, right, let's not talk about this again, Sid. I'm talking about now, but unfortunately, that story got out. I said, "No, Sid, I'm not going to show you anything because you will take liberties. At your size, I've seen the way you knock extras about. You will take liberties with people. I'm not showing you anything." And that's how we left it. Well, 2 weeks later, Sid was gone. So that's that story. So this is, keep me on track because I know you want to say something, but I don't know if this has happened before the Sid thing, but I already knew enough about Sid and then meeting Booker T and Lash. So have you got to do one of your wonderful promotions now?
Now, Mr. Regal, you were talking about now.
So
the
now,
first time you ever saw
Sid
in WCW.
No. What I'm talking about, the first time is when I saw Sid and Harlem Heat.
Right.
So, I'm walking into the Main Event Fitness gym with my wife. Sid comes walking out, and again, time frames of the story that we just told, and I'm not so sure about, but Sid was still around, and Sid wasn't around after the Arn incident, so it must be in '93. As I'm walking in, and there's like, I don't know, 4 or 5 steps, Sid comes walking out with Booker and Lash, or Booker and Stevie Ray, so people know. And from me finding out later from both of them, Sid's got them all wound up, right? You know, to be, and they're both, Andy, you know, they've been through a lot in their lives. They've had tough lives, and they're, you know, they're a big pair of handful fella. You know what I mean? They're not going to back down with anything. They're both a big pair of fellas, right? And you know, they've gone through life, and I know what life's about. Well, they came out. Well, Sid's there, and I don't know what he'd like. You'd have to ask Booker, but he's told me that like Sid had them all like, oh, you know, like acting all like they're standing. So that I didn't pay. I quickly summed the situation, and I thought, well, I know my wife could take Sid out, but they're staring at me. We've never met. They're probably, you know, because a lot of it in this job is just fronting people up. They might have heard, or they might not have even known me, but people met, you know, there's like myth. It's just whatever their thing is. They're stood above me on steps, and they're staring at me. Well, people don't do that around when my wife's around. I don't have anybody act strange around my wife, right? Which would lead to another story. But
you weren't about to have that.
Well, I was just, my wife was there, right. And I won't let people swear around. I don't swear around ladies and children. I swear like a trooper when I'm with people I know, but I'm just, right. I'm funny about things, right? I'm very polite with ladies and open doors, and I don't like people swearing around ladies, and I'm just the way I am. So there's this brief second where they're both staring at me, but I'm more staring at Booker, and we just cross paths. And it just never seemed to get, we sort of went on from there. Whereas I quickly got to know Stevie Ray. So that was just our initial meeting. So there was no anything said, nothing. It was just a bit of a stare down, and okay, you know, I'm not backing down to either of you. And let's face facts. I mean, the two of them would have smashed me to pieces, right? Right.
Yeah, but you got to stand your ground.
You know? I'm going to stand my ground because I'm just not. It's not in me to not. So that was. It's been blown out of proportion. I've heard people tell that story where there was no, there wasn't. That was it. It was just a bit of a thing, and then Sid going like having a conversation with me still staring at Booker, him still staring at me, and then we just crossed paths. I didn't go any further with it because my wife's there.
Right.
Okay, that was it. We go in. So we ended up, I was on a lot of shows. Again, I got on very well with Stevie Ray. But finally, we got on, and then we ended up, like, the following year, I ended up wrestling them a lot. And Booker's not changed, and I get on. I've got on with him for years, but at this particular time, he was a bit loud for me.
Right.
And he knows that, and he's openly loud. Well, it's just, and there was a time, there's like, we were in WCW, and he used to just like to tell everybody how good he was all the time and how great he was. And he'll joke about this now, but he always used to keep saying, I'm top 5 in the world. And, I don't think I'm anything, but I was the fella that could go all over the world and wrestle anybody in the world.
Right.
Now that's the thing, right?
People, and that's also not a thing you would say.
No, but
ever.
No, and I don't think I ever, all these people who think they're the best wrestler in the world, it's just a fool's errand. Because if we've said that before, if one person thinks you're not, then you're not. It's as simple as that. So if you're chasing that goal, oh God, that must be. I'm glad I never had that. I just do me. But I know there's times when I can keep what I can do is I could keep up with anybody, and I could go all over the world and not talk to anybody and still manage to do. And I was doing that. I did that before I came to America. I could do it when I got here, and it's just having once from being a teenager. Once I got to 20, 21, I could hang with, you're hanging with Fit Finlay and Mark Rocco at 18. You either hung in with them or you didn't have a job. And I'm still here. And that goes for something else we were talking about before. If anybody ever thinks, whatever, look at the company I keep. Right? Do you think they're going to have somebody who can't, they don't think, I'll leave it there.
Probably not.
I hang around with the fellas who are whatever they are. You don't get to hang around with these fellas or be as close to these fellas if they think you're going to run off at the slightest opportunity or not be able to, if they were at the backs of the wall, if you weren't going to stand with them. And I've been like that with those fellas since I was in my late teens. That's all I need to say. Just look at the company I keep. Right? Absolutely. I don't think I'm anything when it comes to whatever people think about me, but my friends are
your friends,
and they're all handfuls
for sure.
Again, it's a weird thing.
Well, so the company you keep.
Sorry.
Well, I was just going to segue and just say that your inauspicious